Good morning, I'm Isaiah Jacob. Former Ohio State quarterback Lincoln Keenels has made his decision to transfer to Louisville to join the Cardinals. After working behind Julian Sayin this season, Keenels has 2 years of eligibility remaining. In the NFL yesterday, Carolina's bid to win its first division title since 2015 and first playoff berth since 2017 was put on hold. The Panthers fell to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers 16-14, giving Tampa Bay the lead in the division. Now the Panthers need the Atlanta Falcons to defeat the Saints today at 1 to force a three-way tie that in turn will give the playoff spot to Carolina. Later on, with the NFC West title and the conference's number 1 seed on the line, the Seattle Seahawks got a 13-3 win against their division rival San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks won their 7th straight, earning a first-round bye and home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. And then today at 1, the Battle of Ohio. The Browns travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Myles Garrett is just 1 sack shy of the single-season record.
This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
This is the show that allows you to be the star. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
That's right. It is the hour of the week where it is your show. It is the Fan Call-In Show, and a big thank you to the Sportsbook over at Hollywood Casino for bringing it to you every week. I am Ryan Baker. He is Scotty Vegas. We've had a few days to digest that loss in the Cotton Bowl. Scotty, how are you feeling right now?
Not the best still. This has been quite the hangover, and it's lasted a lot longer than I anticipated that it would. It was devastating, right? I did the watch party at Hollywood Casino, and it was a ballroom full of sadness, and still haven't quite gotten over it. Even watching these football games, like watching the NFL games yesterday, there's still just that you throw on a football game and it just brings you back to that brutal New Year's Eve night. But the hangover continues, and now we keep following this transfer portal stuff. Who's going where, who are the Buckeyes bringing in to look at. And so I think, we'll spend some of this hour talking about what we want and what we expect for next year and what the biggest things for this offseason are. But that hangover still exists, Ryan.
I think it's funny that you use the word hangover. And the number to call, 614-821-9710, 614-821-9710. You can also hit us up in the YouTube chat. I think we had a poll on the Fan the other day. Are you angry? Are you disappointed? Are you hungover? And that's almost what it feels like to me. It's almost like a hangover, because I'm not angry like I was at the Cotton Bowl when they played Missouri or some of the Michigan losses. I'm not angry like that. It just wasn't expected. And you don't expect Ohio State, even though maybe we should, I guess. I don't know, because it's kind of been a pattern the last few years in some of these games. But you just don't expect Ohio State to get punched in the mouth and bullied. And they did 2 games in a row, really. And it's just one of those things. This team was uber talented. I don't think, especially watching the CFP games now, I don't think there's any doubt that the 3 best football teams in the country were in the Big Ten. I think Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana, even though Ohio State lost, I think those 3 teams are the 3 best teams in the country.
Sure.
However, Ohio State, unfortunately, didn't play like it its last 2 games of the season.
I think you're right on that. I agree. And let's start looking at what you expect changes for next year. And I'm not talking just specifically personnel and offensive coordinator. We'll figure that stuff out in the next couple weeks. But for me, a few things from that Miami game. I know that we spent the entire year praising Ryan Day as far as, he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers with this tempo thing. And, OSU's not going to have to play as many snaps and as many games, and their players are going to be fresh for the playoff because they're not going to have to play a ton. Well, guess what? That tempo thing ended up coming back to bite them when they had such a limited number of possessions in that game with the opportunity to come back against Miami. So that's one thing, the tempo thing. The other thing is the lack of emphasis on finding a kicker in this program over the last 3 or 4 years.
Special teams in general.
You're right, special teams in general, but especially the kicker, because it keeps coming back to haunt them. It has haunted them for years, and every big game, if you go back, because Ohio State does not get blown out. Like, you think back to that game where Ohio State lost the semifinal to Clemson. I think it was the Fiesta Bowl, and I think it was at 30 or 31-0. Ohio State just got dominated in that game. Ohio State doesn't lose like that under Ryan Day. The losses are all close, tight losses where it's like one little thing here or one little thing there. And guess what? That little thing has been field goal kicking. And it has killed them so many times that it's crazy, and over multiple seasons, that it's crazy to me that it hasn't been addressed. And that's got to be a priority, is literally spending. If you have to spend good money, NIL money, on a elite kicker, you have to do it. You see it at the college level. You see it at the NFL level. Big games are won and lost by important kicks. So those are two things, tempo and the kicker. And then the other thing, you and I talked about this a little bit, and we doubt that it'll happen because it hasn't happened in the past. But I think we got to start seeing a little bit next year. If the future after next year is Tavian St. Clair, maybe we sprinkle in a little bit more of the backup quarterback. And the other thing is, Julian Sayan's got to be able to run the ball. He has got to be able to, when it's 3rd and 2 and there's an open lane and there's an opportunity to take the easy first down with the legs, be willing to do it. That's my 3-4 things that I like immediately fix, the things that I think need to be fixed for next year.
I can't wait to respond to some of those. I can't wait to hear what the callers have to say about this as well. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. Let's go ahead and open up those phone lines. Let's head out to Jim. Jim, good morning. Thank you for kicking us off on the Fan Call-In Show.
Gentlemen, I've got a new nickname for Ryan Day. It's the Fight Doctor, Freddie Pacheco. He was Ali's trainer, and I'm going to be honest with you. I knew we were in trouble before the game. He said everybody thought we'd come out strong, bombing away and everything. He said, well, we'll throw some blows, we'll throw some punches, we'll see where we're at halftime. And that's just kind of the way we came out. We didn't take the ball to start the game. I do want just a couple of quick points here. I about jump out of my car when I hear some of you guys do a fantastic job, everybody on staff. But when I hear that a lot of the Ohio State fans are they'd rather see Michigan win or the national championship. It's not, if that's apples and oranges. There are some good Ohio State losses. The Clemson game, when Fields was there, it was 16-0, should have been 27-0. Trevor Lawrence, you know he was going to perform. Georgia had a great team. We had some injuries there, and that was just a great game. Some of the games that Ryan loses, we shouldn't be in those positions. We shouldn't be in the position of a field goal kicker and those kinds of things. Ryan is a control freak. He doesn't want to play tempo because he loses control of the game. And he's perfectly happy to go into halftime tied or down 3 or up 3 because he thinks he is playing chess, not checkers. So that's all fine and good unless you're throwing interceptions for 6, not scoring in the red zone, missing field goals, and struggling on your offensive and defensive lines. But I think it's a Ryan Day problem. I love Ryan. He's a great guy. He's great with the kids. And in fairness to Julian Sayin, let me tell you something. They were in that boy's mind. That boy ran all year long. He had great footwork in the pocket. I think Ryan beat him down so much he didn't know what to do with the football. I agree we should have run the football more, but Sayin's the answer. And if Sayin's not there, Julian Smith's not coming back, or Jeremiah Smith's not coming back.
Jim, thank you for the call, and I'll give Jim credit. Even when Ohio State was winning throughout the year, he had questions and he had concerns about Ryan Day. And I will say this, Scotty, I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't trade this program for any other program because they do everything almost perfectly. They recruit at a high level. I think they retain and use the transfer portal in the right way. And they do all of that at a high level. I think they are not just making great football players, preparing guys for the NFL, but I think they are helping mold great men. and men that are going to go into the community and do awesome things. But I will say this, we all year, and you kind of brought it up with the tempo, but all year we talked about, oh man, Ohio State won 24-6, but it sure felt like it was 42-6. It felt worse than that. Ohio State, I think that goes back to a mindset. And you and I talked about this, and I talked the whole toughness thing with Lou Holtz. Sometimes toughness isn't physical. A lot of times toughness, especially with these guys, the physicality is the same. It's the mental toughness, right? And sometimes I think, and I don't know if mental toughness and killer instinct are the same, but I just think there's sometimes when you need a yard, you have to have that mentality that no matter what the other guy does, you're going to go get it. You're going to beat them up. You're going to knock them into the ground. And I think sometimes that's a little bit lacking with this Ohio State program, and I think it kind of got masked by the national championship last year because they went out and did that. They had a group of seniors that were like, okay, enough is enough. We're going to go get ours. They hit their low point. They had nowhere else to go, and they just knocked the snot out of everybody else in those next 4 games. And I think sometimes maybe this year we blamed it on the tempo and they're trying to play 16 games. They're trying to play 16 games, and maybe they just didn't have that killer mindset.
Maybe. I mean, I get what you're saying as far as, like, because Ohio State lost that game really in the trenches, right? Like, they were dominated by the Miami defensive line, and that was where the game was lost. Right. And actually, that's how the Big Ten championship game was lost, too, was they could not protect Julian Sayin, and they couldn't protect him in the Miami game. And let's be honest with you. And I like to listen to a lot of the national perspective, especially betting perspective for me on Ohio State, rather than trying to necessarily just go by the local perspective. And the national perspective going into that game was that Miami was going to be very, very hard to beat on the lines. And they were right? Like, we ignored it as Buckeye fans.
The narrative was correct.
Yes, and we ignored it. We said, we get that Miami has a big offensive line and that they have absolute studs on the defensive line. But no, it'll be fine. It's Ohio State. We'll take care of it. We ignored that national perspective. And that's where that game ended up being won, was the trenches.
614-821-9710. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. We have got to take our first time out here, but Ben, Wesley, Jeremiah, hang on the line. We will get to you immediately next. It's the Fan Call-In Show on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And well, we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
You know what hope is? Hope is action. Carving a path forward, even when it's hard.
And kids who still know how to dream. They're the best pathfinders of all.
So at Child Fund, hope means helping millions of children living in poverty worldwide to grow up healthy, educated, skilled, and so all those good things can come true for them, safe.
And that means safe at home, safe at school, and safe online.
Hope means walking this path together, all of us. Because when we work together, we can do so much more.
That's right. Hope includes you.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
To learn how Child Fund works with children in 23 countries to help them achieve their full potential, visit childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad. And I feel very proud to be his son.
That was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
While serving in Vietnam, a grenade took my ability to see. Today, I'm a sculptor. Now, my fingers are my eyes. I'm Michael Naranjo. As a veteran, I know the challenges of life can be great. In my art, turning a lump of clay into something beautiful, that is worth doing. Life is like that. We each must use what we can to make things better.
DAV helps veterans like Michael get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways.
Now, I show others how they can create something with their own hands. I know it can do a lot of good. With support from DAV, more veterans can shape their lives into a thing of beauty. My victory is bringing beauty into the world.
Michael Naranjo, may your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Get ready for the college football playoff with a $9.99 haircut coupon from Great Clips. Kick off your game day look with convenient online check-in in the Great Clips app. The skilled stylists at Great Clips salons will save your haircut details in clip notes. And with a $9.99 haircut coupon, you'll score elite savings too. Visit greatclips.com/football to get a $9.99 haircut coupon. But hurry, offer ends soon. Great Clips, official sponsor of the college football playoff.
Valid only at participating U.S. salons. Terms apply.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Well, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
We here at The Fan want to make your mornings as enjoyable as possible. That's why we bring you T-Bone and Tybus, a delightful blend of sports conversation and laughter. A show so good you'll forget all about your dead-end job and underachieving children. Maybe you saved a lot of money to send them to private school, and then your daughter shacks up with some dude named Fuzz. And you can't tell if your wife's angry or not because she's had so many filler shot in her face that it can't move anymore. Anyway, T-Bone and Tybus, it's good.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan. Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine here for your Sunday, with temperatures warming up into the lower 30s here for this afternoon. Winds will be fairly light at about 5 miles per hour. And then as we head into the work week, we are tracking a nice warming trend as we get back up into the mid-40s here on Monday with a partly cloudy sky. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Back to the show of the fans, by the fans, and for those crazy fans. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Man, you guys are up and at 'em early on this Sunday. The phone lines are blowing up, and we appreciate that. 614-821-9710 is the number. Kind of having our end of the Buckeye season therapy session here on The Fan. Let's head right back out to those phone lines again, 614-821-9710. Let's go to Ben. Ben, you've been waiting the longest. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Fan Call-In Show.
Good morning, guys. Once again, listen to you every Sunday morning. So,
Listen, I just think that this is a Ryan Day problem. That's just my issue. I felt that over the last few years. To me, this is what it seems like. He plays like he's hard, but he's really soft. Like, he presides, all the Lou Holtz stuff, all that stuff happened, and he plays like that, but he's really soft. And the other thing is that Indiana gave the rest of the country a blueprint on how to beat Ohio State. Ohio State did not change that blueprint, and so Miami stuck to it and did exactly what Indiana did, rushed the passer. There was no adjustments made, and that's how we lost this game. I admit we were in the game for a minute, but then there was no adjustments to get over that hump to say, hey, let's go out and get this thing. No urgency, no anything. So that's just how I feel. So we're moving on to next year, and we'll just see what happens then.
Ben, thank you so much for the call. I would almost argue, too, Scotty, that, and I know people don't want to hear this, but I'd almost argue that Jim Harbaugh in Michigan gave you the blueprint there 4 years in a row. And we can say whatever we want about Connor Stallions and they knew plays and they were cheating and that's all documented and well. But when you got on the field, they were just more physical with you. Indiana was more physical with you. Miami was more physical than you. And he mentioned being in the game for a little bit. There was never once watching that game New Year's Eve that I never once thought Ohio State was losing that game. The first time I thought Ohio State was losing that game was when Mark Fletcher broke that long run at the end. They went from like the 30 to the 50 and Ohio State territory.
With about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, and I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. That was the first time I thought Ohio State was losing that game. I just knew they were going to pull it out, and unfortunately they couldn't.
Yeah, and look, I think Ben makes a lot of really good points, and you know, we keep going back to the best coaches in college football. We had this whole discussion actually last Sunday of who are the elite of the elite coaches. Yeah. And we all agreed, and Dave on the money also agreed that there's four coaches that we thought are elite coaches. We said Cignetti, we said Day, we said Lanning, who hasn't won a championship, hasn't been at the mountaintop yet, and we said Kirby Smart. And there's flaws with all of them a little bit, right? Lanning doesn't have a national championship. Curt Cignetti is a guy who I think is probably the best in-game coach in the country. Like watching him, he is like a mastermind. Watching him and how good of a job he did in that Alabama game, it's scary good how good Cignetti is. However, it's a very, very small sample size at this level, right? And then you get to Kirby Smart, and there's a lot to like about Kirby Smart, and he's got championships to back it up. However, he also has some of the off-the-field issues with some of his players that I don't really appreciate. And Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day, and you've mentioned this multiple times, and credit to you, but Ryan Day runs a nearly perfect program. As you said, when you watch games on Sunday, we see Buckeyes all over the place because of the program that Ryan Day has continued here. At the elite level, you see Buckeyes all over the place on the NFL. You see how well they are represented in the community. And as you mentioned, with the transfer portal and the retaining guys, like the program is near perfect. I think the question with Ryan Day, and it will continue to be, even after winning that championship last year, is still the in-game adjustments and the in-game management. And that's the question mark on Day. All the elite coaches still have a question mark, and that's Ryan Day's.
Let's go back out to those phone lines again. The number 614-821-9710. Let's go out to Wesley. Wesley, good morning. Thanks for joining the Fan Call-In Show.
Oh, good morning, man. It's good talking football with you guys. OH, man.
I know, buddy.
Now, listen, man, this is what I was thinking, because all the beginning of the season, all of us seen when we couldn't get a yard, 2 yards or something, you know. And I always felt that we have a hell of a team, got a good quarterback, wide receivers, but we got to move the chains. Even if we don't score, can we get us some first downs? I mean, it's okay looking upfield, but it was like Indiana's game. We need to go recruit some men in the trenches. I don't want to keep hearing about, we had to move this guy around, we had to move. That's not going to work, not when you get up here in the top 4 to 6 teams in the nation. And it really showed. And our defense is great, but you can't leave them on the field all day. I mean, come on. Everybody like, do you let this go? Yeah. Well, give them a chance to take a breather, get some water, okay? Get some first downs. We hardly couldn't get nothing the first half. What is that? As great as this team is, we can't get first downs in the beginning of the game. It's like we wasn't even there. So what I see is we got to go in the portal and get some big fellas. You know? We need some.
Wesley, it's a great call, and thank you for the call. It's fair, right? And that offensive line, as good as they were in that game against the team up north this year, they were equally or more bad against Indiana and Miami. And credit to Indiana and Miami, both of those defenses really good. Their defensive fronts really good. But yeah, it was the offensive line. Those last two games was an issue.
So speaking of the portal, thank you so much, Wesley, for the call, and a lot of good points in that. Let's talk a little bit about the portal, because I do believe that one of the reasons why Ohio State didn't succeed and win a national championship this year is they did miss on last year's portal quite a bit. And we'll go over that specifically in a second. But the teams that are in the Final Four, 15 of the 22 starters for Ole Miss are portal guys. For Indiana, 14 of the 22 starters are transfer portal guys. Miami, 12 of 22. Oregon, 10 of 22. So we are seeing, of all the starting positions of the teams that are in the Final Four, 51 of the 88 starters are from the transfer portal. And if you look back, Ohio State this last year, as far as the transfer portal, we thought that they had a pretty decent portal run, but these portal guys didn't necessarily turn out. And I bring it up, Max Clare, who we thought was going to come in and be a superstar tight end. And he was all right? He wasn't bad. He did some good things, but it was a bit of a miss as far as his production from the transfer portal. You're talking Bo Atkinson, really didn't have much of a factor. You talk C.J. Donaldson, really, I mean, he was okay, did some things. But then also on the offensive line, there were a couple misses on the offensive line there too. So the portal didn't work out. The year before, when Ohio State wins it all, they had an incredible transfer portal haul. This last year didn't work out.
I will say this. I would personally rather have Ohio State doing it the way they are. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not the way to win in college football anymore. But I would rather recruit and develop and then just plug and fill holes. And if a superstar like Caleb Downs or Julian Sayin falls in your lap, yeah, go get those guys. But me personally, I don't want to overturn my roster every year, quite frankly. And I know a lot of those guys on Indiana, they came from James Madison to Indiana with Kurt Signetti. I understand that. I love the way Ohio State has used the transfer portal. Now, if that's not the way to success moving forward, maybe you've got to change it. But so far, I love what they've done. I have no problem with it.
The problem is that there were 4 or 5 swings and misses from last year's portal that really hurt on positions that they really needed, like Bo Atkinson, and I just go back and I know that they spent the money on Max Clare, a tight end. Tight end was a pretty deep position for Ohio State, and it didn't work out. So I do think that there were swings and misses in the transfer portal.
Let's get one more call here before we got to go to our break. Let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, good morning. Thanks for waiting and hanging out with us on the Fan Call-In Show.
Morning, guys. Love the show. Just a couple things. Let's show off with going into next year what we need. 2 things I see about Sand is not necessarily the running for the first downs. I think he needs more pocket awareness. I mean, a couple times, if he just slides in that pocket when the rush is coming, gives him an extra half second for the receivers to break up and downfield. And secondly, with him, I don't ever see him throwing into tight windows. They're always wide open receivers running down the field he's throwing to, and I wonder if he's holding the ball too long, if he's afraid to throw to those tight windows, if we're just being too conservative and telling him not to. I think those 2 things will help the offensive line when they're struggling and help move our offense moving forward into next year. And the last thing, talk about the receivers. How healthy was Smith and Tate? Because I know Smith had good numbers. Tate disappeared and Jeremiah did at times. I mean, And they was kind of talking about their health leading into it. We want to get your thoughts on that. Thank you very much.
Jeremiah, we will give you our thoughts on that in 2 minutes. A lot of good stuff there that I want to talk about with Sayin and the receivers as well. So we will take a quick timeout, and then we will get back to that in 2 minutes. It's the Fan Call-In Show on The Fan.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need, and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Ever want to be a radio star? Or at least hear your voice on the air? Perhaps embarrass all your relatives? This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Mike and Scott, we are going to get to you in just a second, but we just had a call from Jeremiah, and I want to touch on a couple of the things Jeremiah says there. And he was talking about Julian Sayin and things for next year, a little more pocket awareness and throwing the ball into tight windows. The first thing on the pocket awareness, I think we all forget Julian Sayin was the completion of his first year of college football, really. The first year of playing and starting. And are there things that he needs to learn? Yeah, and there's things he's going to learn by playing those games. We had the Texas game to start this year, Scotty. And I think they had a very close to the vest game plan on offense for him, his first start ever.
Well,
they
was
get the win.
13 for 20 for 126 yards.
Yeah, so
in week one.
They didn't really open up the offense for him. As the year went along, they gave him more and more. This was his first time, his first Michigan game. He played well. His first Big Ten championship game against a very good defense that I think everybody in the country is underrated in Indiana. And the numbers weren't bad for Julian in that game. I don't think the numbers were horrible in this Miami game either, but there were just some things you saw where a kid was getting his first time in that. Julian's going to be better next year for all of this. And we talked about he talked about throwing into tight windows. I don't know how much he's being told, don't throw this ball. Unless you know it's a completion, don't throw it. Sometimes you've got to take a chance. And I don't know how much that's getting coached out of him. I really don't know.
So I feel like that it's a pretty good educated guess to say he's told you are not running the football. I think he is told you're not running the football, because I look back to CJ Stroud and how he would not run the football all season long. And then you see him in that Georgia game in the semifinals, like, oh my gosh, he can really pick up some yards on the ground when he's told he's allowed to. And I think Sayin was hesitant and didn't want to use his legs. We've seen he does have the ability to run a little bit. But yeah, that was a killer. There were multiple times in the Big Ten championship game where you're like, oh, just step up and run. And in the obviously the Miami game too. But let's talk about this because you brought this up that he is a first-year quarterback. Last year in Ohio State's national championship run, you had Will Howard, who had a ton of college quarterback experience.
4 years before you got him.
Yep. And then what else? Your running back. Your running back this year was also a freshman. He was the guy, and I don't think Bo Jackson had a very good game in that Miami game. I don't know, maybe he was a little banged up.
Do you mean
blocking?
Blocking, there was some issues.
And I also think there were some holes that he missed in that game and in the Big Ten championship game where I thought, oh my gosh, he has a chance to break it. Here we go.
5 yards
and
of
then
carry, that's what I know.
I know, but that was disappointing.
I would have liked to seen him get more than 11.
I thought we would see him break one or two, and there were a couple where it looked like he was going to, and he didn't. But so last year you had a senior in Quinshon Judkins, and you had the all the experience of Travion Henderson. So at the key positions, quarterback, running back, you had so much experience going into the playoffs last year. You didn't have that this year.
And then he talked about the receiver health. I just got to take them at their word on that. I don't know that they were healthy. I'll tell you what, I never thought Jeremiah Smith wasn't healthy all year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really damn good, right? Like even in the Indiana game, he was good. The Michigan game, he was good. In this Miami game, he was good. So I'll have to take them for their word that they were 100% healthy, but I'd have never known it with Jeremiah if he wasn't.
The other thing, you were talking about dogs, having dogs on your team and on offense. You know who is? Emeka. Emeka was on that national championship team last year. He's a dog. He's a guy who's going to make tough catches and all that stuff. The reason they lost wasn't wide receivers. That's not it. But I'm talking about the experience of last year's team going into the playoffs versus the experience of the team for this year.
614-821-9710 is the number to call. That's what Mike did. Mike, good morning. Thanks for hanging on. You're on the Fan Call-In Show.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. I love the show. Listen, just want to make it real quick. In hindsight, it seems like this team was probably a year early. And the reason I say that is because for as good as Julian saying was, is just like you guys just mentioned before you got me on the phone, he's still a freshman, and he still has a lot to learn. I think that the coaching staff kind of dropped the ball these last two games. I don't know if it was the hoopla that arose with Hartline getting the job and having to go down to USF and then trying to work that out, and then Day coming out and saying, well, I'm going to be the one calling the plays. I don't know. I just think they got caught up in a lot of mess right before the end, and that might have just took away their focus. So going forward, I hope that with the craziness that's been happening in the portal, that these guys are able to get it together and get some wins this time around, because the way that this season ended, I still can't believe it. I'm still in shock myself.
Same, Mike. Definitely in shock. And listen, I think the expectations before the year were this was a team that could be a year away, right? You lost 8 starters on defense. Now, we knew the talent was there with Sonny and Caleb, and then we thought we knew what we had with Arvell, and he was really good in the cornerbacks. And you thought Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry and Caden McDonald would be good, but you weren't sure. You were starting a freshman quarterback. You ended up starting a freshman running back for most of the year. Things changed when you beat Texas and you go along the way and you don't really get tested and you play and you go 12-0 on the year. Things change. I think I don't know if the perception of this team changed, right? And he said this team was just a year early, and I think that's what we all thought at the beginning of the year, right? Mm-hmm. I think most people, you just didn't know what this team was going to be.
100%. At the beginning of the year, we had no idea what this team was going to be. And the betting odds actually kind of indicate that. Like going into last year, I was like, okay, this team is all in. The experience, the bringing in Quinshon, bringing in Caleb Downs. It's like this team is all in. We know it. We expect it's championship or bust. At the beginning of this season, I didn't feel that way. It wasn't like, oh, I'm rushing to the betting counter to get my national championship tickets in on Ohio State at the beginning of the year, because it was like, there were so many question marks. You lost so much off that team. You had a brand new quarterback. You had a brand new backfield. And so there were a lot of question marks heading into this year. It wasn't that same feeling as you had going into last year.
You also had, even though he had been here and he had been an offensive coordinator before, a first-time play caller,
yes,
and Brian Hartline, and you had a defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia, who a lot of people said you were crazy for hiring.
Yeah. Yes.
All they remembered was the guy that flamed out when he wasn't with Bill Belichick, and it was a home run hire. But very few people thought that going into this season.
And that Texas win changed everybody's mind, right? So you go and you beat what everybody thought preseason-wise was the number one team or top two team in Texas, and you win that game. And then you had a lot of easy games for a while. You took care of Washington, who ended up being just an okay team. Then you didn't play anybody really until the very end when you played Michigan and Indiana, and it got a little dicey and you lost that Indiana game. So yeah, it was a season where we were a little bit fooled in our expectations from that very opening game where you win that and it's like, oh, this is an elite, unbelievable, unbeatable team. It was a very good team, but it wasn't a unbeatable, spectacular national championship team that we thought it was.
Let's head back out to those phone lines. Again, the number 614-821-9710. Let's go to Scott. Scott, good morning. Thank you for waking up early with us on the Fan Call-In Show.
Good morning, fellas. You guys are great. Really appreciate you. Listen, football, I think we can agree, is militaristic at its core. And if that is true, then you have to have things that are going to surprise the enemy. And I think this game might have been lost during the season because you couldn't have done it at the end to get in Julian Sayen's head. But you should have had some packages where Lincoln Keenholz could be involved in this game and have some run-pass options and the ability to run, maybe fool the defense a little bit, maybe a secret weapon type of thing. And if they adjust on the fly, the kid can spin it. And I just think that we might have missed the boat. In special teams, enough's enough. We've got to be elite in that area. But I just wanted to see your take on that.
Scott, I appreciate the call. I totally disagree with the Lincoln package. And I loved Lincoln Keenholz. I love his athletic ability. Wish him the best moving forward to Louisville, because it sounds like he's committed to Louisville now. That's where he's going to play his college ball moving forward. I hope he does great things for Louisville. He was a good soldier while he was here. I'm a firm believer that if you're playing two quarterbacks, you don't have one. I think Ohio State was also one of their most effective short yardage plays this year was when they just did a tush push with Julian Sayen, and they went straight ahead and moved forward, and almost every time they got it. He lost his footing against Indiana, and they didn't pick it up, but that was one of the rare times that they didn't get it. I just don't like disrupting the rhythm of that, especially when you refuse to play your backups throughout the year. Like if I would see Lincoln get a whole half in one of those games earlier this year, you go put it on some team and you put him in there, and you talked about moving forward, maybe seeing Tavian St. Clair, getting him in the game more. I just don't have any faith in that because we haven't seen it. It's not what they do. In your biggest game, the guy who has had the best completion percentage for a year ever, I'm going to keep that guy in the game at quarterback, quite frankly. And maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe if they would have put Lincoln in, it would have helped. It would have shocked the defense. I'm just not a fan of that.
If I were to grade Julian Sayen's first year, I would still give him an A-, right? Like I think he was really good. The completion percentages were awesome. Again, we got a nitpick now. Season's over. There were a couple interceptions that were really, really tough to get over, right? That pick six, and I know there was a missed block and all that stuff. That's really probably why Ohio State lost that game, because let's say you just settle for a field goal there and you don't score a touchdown. it's 7-3 and you're down 4 instead of being down 14-0. Through an early pick against Michigan, they got away with it because the defense was so good and Michigan didn't score. But that could have been a dicey start. If Michigan had started and put the ball in the end zone, that could have been a dicey situation. And then you had a pick against Indiana at the very beginning of the game as well. So that, and then you look at the Texas game, they didn't ask him to do much. But other than that, he was awesome. He was awesome as far as the completion percentage, the numbers he put up. Hell, he was in New York as a Heisman finalist as a first-year quarterback. He had a very good season, A-. I think he's going to be even better for next year. I think next year he will be right in the discussion to win the Heisman again. The schedule for Ohio State is really tough next year. But the one thing I do want to see on 3rd and 2, and you got an open lane, take the first down. Run the ball.
Neil, Frank, we will get to you coming up next. Final segment of the Fan Call-In Show on The Fan.
Whatever you're doing right now, just know that Bo Bishop is enjoying a sip of bourbon. Even if this promo is playing in the morning, no judgment.
Ah, sweet morning drinking.
The Fan.
Hey, Central Ohio, it's Andrew from Home Team Solutions. And yes, we buy houses for cash the easy way. We've been buying houses for over 20 years, and we've seen it all. Whether you've inherited a property, you're behind on payments, the house needs work, or just want to avoid the hassle of listing, we've got you covered. No repairs, no clean out, no stress, just a fair cash offer and you pick the closing date. We've helped hundreds of homeowners sell fast and hassle-free, and we're proud to have 5-star reviews all across Central Ohio and an A+ rating with the BBB. If you're ready to sell your house the easy way, call Home Team Solutions at 614-962-SELL. That's 614-962-7355, or visit us online at selltohometeam.com. Home Team Solutions, local, trusted, and family-owned. Again, that's 614-962-SELL. 614-962-7355 or selltohometeam.com.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. And you think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a bright, focused foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
Hey guys, 13-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion Jason McCourty here, and I'm an innovation ambassador at FAIR, Food Allergy and Research Education. I would say the most challenging thing as a parent of a kid who has a food allergy is probably the ignorance that I myself had in the beginning. So I didn't know what anaphylactic shock was. I didn't know the dangers, let alone the things that she needed to be able to have a normal life. When you go to drop your kid off, on every single time in the beginning, we'd have to go through everything she was allergic to. Preparation is everything. And me, for playing football for 13 years, it was all throughout the course of the week. It's getting ready for game day. When you're on the field, you're playing for your fans. At home, you're playing for your family. My playbook, read labels, keep it allergy friendly, and have an epinephrine nasal spray as a backup plan. Because when my family's safe from food allergens, that's the real victory. Visit foodallergy.org to learn more.
Around the world, Children International and friends like you are giving children in poverty a chance to grow and thrive, to be healthy, to succeed in school, and achieve great things. How do we do it? In the best way possible, by helping ensure access to healthcare, nutrition, and educational opportunities. And most importantly, by empowering youths and their families to get out of poverty and into employment through life skills, computer, and job training. the very tools they need to break the cycle of poverty and build futures full of promise. Because every child deserves a chance to realize their full and best potential. Learn more about how Children International is empowering children and families by going to children.org today. That's children.org.
I always tell people I was the luckiest guy in the world. I wanted to be an Army man or a fireman, and I got to do both. As a firefighter, my job was about saving lives. I never thought one day I would be fighting for mine.
After spending his career answering the call to save others, Ken was diagnosed with ALS. Now he's facing his biggest battle, for more time. For 70 years, Muscular Dystrophy Association has been answering the call to help people live longer and more independent lives.
MDA means to me hope.
MDA is leading the way for people living with ALS, muscular dystrophy, and other neuromuscular diseases by accelerating research, advancing care, and advocating to empower families like Ken's.
I wouldn't be living as good of a life with ALS if it wasn't for MDA. MDA is helping people live stronger and love longer. Learn more at mda.org today.
How many different ways can you consume morning juice? Let's see. Live on YouTube, live on the Fans HD3 podcast on demand, and on 10 TV Plus. And we'll send Bobby right to your house.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 8.
The Fan. Enjoy all the football this weekend, but remember to join us for Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys.
The Fan. Your kids and spouse might not listen to you, but we will. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Thank you to all of you for calling in this morning, joining our little end of the Buckeye season therapy session here.
I needed it. You know, I'm so used to a Saturday game coming in early the next.
Immediate reaction.
Yeah, and like having 2 or 3 hours of really breaking it down in therapy. I didn't have that, right? And I think I missed it because I was like, man, I need to get out my thoughts, and it's basically been festering for 4 or 5 days, and I've been angry for 4 or 5 days.
Maybe that's why we felt hungover for this long. I'm not sure. Again, that number was 614-821-9710 here every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 to hear from you guys. Let's 2 more calls to go on the show today. Let's head out to those phone lines and go to Neil. Neil, good morning. Thank you for waking up with us on the Fan Call-In Show.
Hey, Bake. It's Neil out here in Pickerington, and we just really appreciate how you represent high school football. But reason for my call is just the frustration of taking the offense and just putting the brakes on when it comes to a high-level team, equal talent, if you will, and the conservative play calling. And I don't know how to fix that other than if Ryan feels desperate. That's where Georgia game came in, where he played totally different, and would love to know your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, Neil, thank you so much for the call. And I am 100% in agreement on the pace of play in that game. When you were behind, right, 14-0 at half, you need more possessions. You need possessions, you need quickness, you need tempo. And by the way, you have elite weapons all over that offense. And when it's 14-0 at the half and you really only get 3 possessions in the second half, it's hard to win. It's hard to come back. And the way they played in that second half, like they came out of the gates, it was a very long, good drive to score, but it ate up pretty much the entire third quarter, which made it very, very difficult. You want to extend the game when you're down, right? Get more opportunities to put points on the board. I'm with Neil as far as the pace of play.
It's weird that you have a sports car and you take it off-roading. Right? And Ohio State pretty much for the most part did that all year. And it was, I've never seen, and we all understood And we thought it would be different because we saw it last year when they played a little more conservative through the year, try to get through the 16-game season. Got to stay healthy. 16-game season, one less game with the amount of plays if we call the offense this way. But you thought when it came to win or go home, the switch would flip and you would kick it into fifth gear, and you just didn't see that. And in the history of football, it's always been, to me, the team that was less talented was the team that tried to slow the game down and make less
100%.
Possessions to stay in the game, not the team that was more talented.
You see that in college basketball all the time, too. Once you get to the tournament, you see these teams that want to limit the number of possessions of the better teams to stay in the game, put that game pressure on the teams at the end, and then win it. I mean, that's the problem. You're right. They had so many offensive weapons, and they played so slow and played at a snail's pace, and it killed them in the end.
Let's go out to one final caller. Let's go to Frank. Frank, good morning. Thank you, as always, for calling the Fan Call-In Show.
Good morning, guys. I'm pretty frustrated with them as well. This team had the it, but they just lost it. I believe they put too much into the Michigan game, and then they came out flat. I mean, other than what Neil said, we don't play our normal offense. We should have had an element of surprise with the team we had, the players we had. We had so much more that we could do, and we got to get rid of that bubble screen. That play has not done anything, and it cost us this last game. And as far as the tush pushes and all that, why don't we put Caden McDonald in there as a blocker or a pusher? And when we have somebody like Caden McDonald, instead of Julian by himself, have somebody in there that can help him.
Great call. Thank you for that, Frank. It is interesting. We did see K-Mac do that a little bit last year, and I don't remember just off the top of my head or not if we saw that this year or not. Listen, talk about we didn't call our offense. Maybe we did. Maybe that is the offense, because that's what we've seen for 2 years now. And again, like I said, maybe that championship run last year was just a group of seniors that said, we're tired of getting our asses kicked. We're just going to go out here and do the ass kicking. I don't know. Listen, as I said, though, I would not trade this program for any other in the country. Are there some issues? Maybe so, but if you're Ohio State, you're getting in this thing every year.
Well, it's a strange year in college football because the four teams that are left, Oregon was 9-1 to start the year. Ole Miss was 25-1 at the start of the year. Miami was 30. Indiana was 100-1. And now your favorite to win it all was a preseason 100-1 team. Like, it's a wild year. You had all the teams, those top four teams that everybody assumed, Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, those teams gone.
One of those coaches going to win their first national championship for sure. Don't go anywhere. Scotty Vegas, Dave Biddle on the money next on The Fan.
There's nothing Bo Bishop can't do well, except find competent co-hosts.